My name is Jennifer Ives. I'm the Director of Business Investment here in Arlington. Welcome. We host workshops, seminars, panel discussions such as this all year long, every year. For about 10 years, BizLaunch, Tara Palacios actually created BizLaunch a decade ago because we saw a need to reach out to the small businesses, the startups, and the entrepreneurs within the region, and it was a need that we didn't feel was being met, so Tara created the program. She's the program manager for the program. She's going to talk a little bit more specifically about BizLaunch during her introduction and then during the conversation this morning. But on average, we touch about 2,500 small business owners, entrepreneurs, and startups a year. Last year alone, we increased that to 4,000. We've created some new partnerships, and I think within the entire DC region, the focus of entrepreneurship and startup, the ability to start one's business here in the region is catching on, and it's become more apparent that you can do that here in the DC region. You don't need to kind of have an idea and go somewhere else. You can get funding, you can have access to clients and customers, you can do all of that here. And our superstar panel this morning is going to talk a little bit about how they've done it, and then also some hints and some suggestions for how you can grow your business in 2013. Lucky 13. So I want to also introduce Carl Pierre. Carl is the senior writer for In the Capital. If you don't already follow, either via Twitter or online, if you don't already follow In the Capital, it's one of your best sources as a small business, as an entrepreneur, as a startup. Carl and his team of writers really have a wonderful handle on the startup scene in the DC region, and I really highly suggest, again, if you're not already following In the Capital, that you do so. Carl, would you like to take it away with the panel?
Sure, absolutely.
And again, thank you for being here this morning. You are now on the list by registering this morning, so we will continue to send you information about the workshops, seminars, panels. We also do one-on-one business counseling and offer those services for free as well. So enjoy and learn lots and do great in 2013. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Jennifer. So Lucky 13, the point of this panel discussion is to really learn how to leverage any tool you have available in the following year to really grow out your business or startup in the DC area, specifically Arlington. So I think what we'll start off with is a quick introduction from each member of the panel, just so you know where they're coming from and what their expertise is exactly. So Tara, if you want to kick it off.
Well, it's my pleasure to be here. Good morning, everyone. My name is Tara Palacios, and as Jennifer said, I've been managing BizLaunch I see several friends in the audience, I like to say for many years. But my expertise background is in marketing. I worked in the private sector for about 15 years before coming to the county to manage the entrepreneurship program. So I really enjoyed working with small businesses and entrepreneurs on developing marketing plans, working with social media, and doing different things. So feel free to pick my brain on that, as well as the entrepreneurship. I work a lot with funding and financing with SBA, as well as other partnerships. There's a new funder that's in the house for entrepreneurs that just moved in DC called Kiva. I'm not sure if you all are aware of that, but we try as economic development to reach out and to touch to so many different diverse groups that will touch your business, so that we then can share that information with you. So you as an entrepreneur, you're just not out there by yourself, but you have more than a lifeline, but you have a partner in us, and that we will help you to grow your business, whether you're new, whether you're existing and looking for new entrepreneurs, or whether you're looking for new opportunities. We also work very closely with the federal government doing contracting work, as well as local and state. So there are a variety of ways that we can work with you. It's my pleasure to be with you here this morning, and I look forward to serving on this wonderful panel.
My name is Kerry Scott. I am with Lemur Retail right now. We're a small startup in the DC area. My background currently is user interface and user experience design for software and websites. My past has included social media marketing for everything from the entertainment, music industry to local associations in this area. I just closed actually recently my own design firm and communications firm called Shout Brigade in town to work with Lemur Retail. We're actually moving into the offices here, and we will be available, Will and I, to actually consult with you on anything we talk to you about today. So you might be overwhelmed with some of the stuff you hear, but don't feel like you can't come reach back to us and set up time to talk to Will and I over the next 6 months.
My name is Will Fuentes. I'm CEO of Lehman Retail. My background, actually, I was an attorney that became a retailer. Managed multi-units for Best Buy, H.H. Gregg, and Bed Bath & Beyond, and did corporate projects for all three of them. Started Lehman Retail with Kerry a few months back. I've become a very big student of Kerry. He is excellent at social media marketing, has really helped me and Lemur grow in terms of our connections to C-level execs by using Twitter. He taught me how to do that. So listen to this guy, and if you don't know how to listen to him, I can actually coach you on that, because that I have learned. It's a skill that I do have.
My name is Carl Johnson. My primary role is I'm a CTO for a company called Venga. I don't know if you guys had a panelist earlier. My coworker Sam Bonpolo was our CEO, was supposed to be here. It was kind of a last minute change for a family issue, but happy to fill in for him. As I said, I'm CTO for a company called Venga, which is a software company downtown. We're a startup company. We've been around for about 2 years in our Series A round of funding. And if anyone has questions on that level of investment type, I'm happy to go into that type of information as well. In addition to my work with Venga, which is a software company that focuses on doing guest data analytics for restaurants, I'm also a small restaurant owner in Capitol Hill. I'm a majority partner of a restaurant called Pound the Hill, which is a cafe and bistro in Eastern Market. And given my background in the software world and the last couple of years working in the restaurant world, my approach to restaurant marketing certainly has a lot of weight on the social side, a lot of weight on the non-traditional marketing side, and we'll be happy to go into those aspects as well. But hopefully from the two businesses I'm an owner and a partner in, I can provide some insight from both perspectives.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Joseph Nichinsky. I'm part of Apple's retail business team. We work specifically with our retail stores in finding small, medium businesses that come in and traditionally shop, and they get introduced to our team. We provide a variety of support options to customers, from consulting services to talking about how to best deploy and use Apple technologies and best practices, what we're seeing in the market currently. That's actually how I got to meet Kerry and Will, who introduced me to Jennifer, and that's how I got invited today. We work a lot with various startups and small and medium businesses in the area. So we're really here as a support if you're interested in using Apple products and how to best do that.
Cool. So I guess a good question to start off the panel, and this is really up for anyone who wants to answer right away, is going from 2012 into 2013, are there any particular interesting trends you've seen in the retail or restaurant industry going into 2013 that are worthy of note, I suppose?
Yeah, I mean, going into 2013, I think more focusing on new technology. Really, the big players are the ones that are going to get even bigger this year. Facebook has a premium service coming out. It's going to be a great interest to you small business owners. A lot more detailed analytics for you to use, as well as a lot of different social advertising. Not like Google AdWords, which can be a little frustrating, but actual social advertising through Facebook and different social channels is going to get big this year. Pinterest is definitely going to get bigger. If you don't know about that, please look into it. Honestly, I don't even know as much. I started working at Lemur, it was Pinterest started really building, but my knowledge of Pinterest is at a user level. But as far as Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, those are all going to be incorporating different social advertising models that you guys should definitely be looking into and expanding with your business. But in keeping with this panel, I think none of this works for you if you don't first focus on product, a great product, and great customer service. And I think we've kind of tied everything into that today, because none of this works if you don't have a good product, a product that you are comfortable promoting. You got to be assured of your product, and you have to have great customer service from your website down to your physical presence. So you can't just think about, hey, I'm going to meet you here and I'm going to talk to you and have good customer service one-on-one. Your website has to have good user experience. You have to have good actionable technology in there. You have to have ways to communicate the way that your customer wants to communicate with you, because some people use Twitter only, some people use Facebook only, some people want to send you an email, some people want to call you. So you have to have all those actionable items on your website as well, which people don't usually think about.
I'll add something to that on the purely on the marketing side. Something that's always been important to marketing, but in 2013 we're finally getting there. Marketing becomes finally more targeted and more measurable, and those are the two, by far, the two biggest things for both of my businesses that we constantly talk about. Fortunately, what Venga does for our restaurants is we help them measure the marketing they're doing and target it to people they are going to be more apt to want to receive what they're getting. So it helps with brand perception, it helps with redemption rates of offers or of just feet in the door. And going the targeted and measurable route in marketing obviously is a significant boon to ROI on those marketing dollars. I know from the restaurant side, we were talking about this briefly before the panel started, traditional marketing in the sense of especially newspaper advertising is like throwing a whole bunch of money in a bucket and having no idea what comes out. And it's incredibly hard for a small restaurant to fund that. I mean, we did a New Year's Eve dinner a couple weeks ago, a special tasting dinner. City Paper was running a one-time only feature of restaurants. They had like 100 restaurants on it that were doing New Year's Eve dinners. They wanted $800 to put us on there. They said that, well, there's no way that for a one-night event I'm going to even throw $800 at this and hope that I get a couple tables out of it. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But for that $800, or for half that, $400, I can put that into a much more targeted and measurable way of marketing, sometimes free, especially if it's email marketing. And a lot of people turn up their nose at email marketing as being 10 years ago, but targeted email marketing is a whole different ballgame. When you're sending an email that comes to someone, not just addressed to their name, but is specifically about the type of wine you know that they've drank at your restaurant before. You know that this person has kids and loves finding ways to bring their kids within the restaurant, so you're going to target them with a special kids meal special or event you're having. That kind of stuff is a lot higher ROI, and providing a way to measure those people coming back in is really important in 2013.
That's definitely true, and a lot of the culture of connection in the restaurant industry is definitely something I've seen. A couple local ones, they're deployed iOS technology like iPads, not only as menus but also as POS devices to bring out at the table, but incorporating social media with that and connecting with their customer base and getting specific is definitely something of interest to a lot of businesses that I've seen. It's conversations we've had a couple times, beyond just our team here regionally, but a couple partners of mine in the South have worked with a large number of the restaurant industry to make that connection happen, right? So customers really feel that special culture of connection to where they're going and eating and drinking.
I really think that if there's an actual trend that you can look at when you look at even small or large retailers or restaurants, it really is about leveraging the current customer base and maximizing the dollars that are spent within your location. What larger retailers are seeing is that that customer base, if they can continue to bring them back in with that targeted kind of marketing, that wallet share increases. And as we see when we work with small businesses, the smaller businesses that we're working with, it's the same thing. It's really about maximizing that dollar, because you already know that you've captured that person's attention, and getting them to come back in with that targeted offer, whatever it may have you, that really increases that ROI, as opposed to just throwing it out there and hoping that it hits against them.
Yeah, I guess one part I left out is that the targeted marketing specifically applies to customer retention as opposed to acquisition in a much better manner. Because if you've had customers in the door, you have a little intelligence on who those customers are and what they like, the ability to target them and bring them back in is so much easier than bringing in those new customers. So I think retention is a big thing from a marketing perspective that I wanted to talk about in a lot of our answers today.
And I think too, from a marketing perspective, just to piggyback on what everyone else has said, is that people are actually going online. I think when I was working with clients before, it was a matter of, do I have a Facebook profile? That's for kids or that's for younger people, that's not for me. But I think in 2013, it's definitely for you, because people are Googling and they want to see what kind of online presence do you have. They'll go to Yelp and they'll see, has this person been written up on Yelp? I mean, I know for myself personally, if I don't see a company on Yelp, I'm questioning whether I even, especially if it's a new business that I want to partake in, I want to see how many stars they have, what other people have said. If it's retail that's being sold, like clothing, I want to know, how does the clothing fit? How are other people's experiences? And if I don't see it there, as just a consumer, I kind of shy away from that. So making sure that you understand that target market, how they get information. Do they use Twitter? Do they use Facebook? I think it's not a matter of if, but it is, and what is your plan? and how are you best going to utilize it? If you can't answer that, I don't want to say print media is not available or is dead, but people are going online now a lot more. So, and really trying to utilize that to the best advantage. If there's an article being written, see if you can have your Facebook or something there that is familiar with that, so if they click on the link, they can go right to your page. That may make more sense than just trying to blindly target everybody, which is when I work with a lot of small businesses, their first response to me is, well, my target market is everybody. And if it's everybody, that's a lot of dollars that you're throwing out there. So really being very targeted, having that presence, and when you have that presence, having somebody that can maintain that presence for you. If you're just sending one tweet a week, you're not getting that kind of synergy there for your business. So you can hire somebody that can do that full time, or get an intern who can use their thumbs really quickly and come to things like this and to get your name out there and to brand you to your customer base.
I think one thing to note, though, is that a lot of the stuff that we're talking about is because technology, because the cost of it to develop this stuff has come down so far. Like, you can actually get on Venga, you can use Lemur, you can use a lot of these things at a very low cost, so much less than you would normally. I mean, I think about what they offered you was $800. Like, you could basically get almost a full year of our services.
Yeah.
I'm sure, right? Like, I don't know what your price point is, but close to a year of our services for what one day would have done for you. And it's not just us; it's a lot of these technologies that are out there. So, there's a couple, really nice startups in this area that are doing work in this space. But just across the U.S. there are, and it's very simple to get on, log on, and get information from them. So, don't let the fact that it might be something new scare you away from trying it, because the cost is very low, and you will see almost immediate ROI.
And use those tools to capture intelligence on your customers. I know it sounds a little big brother, sounds a little scary, but the smarter you become about your customers, the easier it is to bring them back and tailor the experience to them, which means they're happier, they go on Yelp, give you better ratings and things like that. So everything's better in a retail sense when you know your customers, and that's what Venga and Lemur, I guess, for the most part, does as well, is help you know your customers. Right?
Yeah. With that said, too, you have so much new technology coming out, cheap, easy to use, and we do every month. I mean, do you get on Google Plus? Do you not get on Google Plus? There's so many choices to be made, and what you got to think about first is, don't say, hey, I need a Facebook page, I need a Twitter page, I need a LinkedIn page. Don't think of it like that. Think about what your goals are and find the right tools to get you to that point. So, whether it's a newsletter or a Facebook campaign, or, you got to figure out what tools you can use, and you have to make sure, like she was saying, that these have to be used. A Facebook page that you put up online and is never used is actually probably going to hurt your business more than help it. So if you do put something out there, make sure that you keep up with it.
And that's not a mistake that's just small businesses make, large businesses make. When I worked for Best Buy, one of our initiatives was to put a Facebook page for every single store, and it became the biggest mess that we've ever created, because you're basically saying to these people, this is a way for you to get in touch with me and let me know about my service, whether it's good or bad. And when it's bad and you don't respond for 10 days because no one looked at it, that's a real problem. Then the really bad reviews get to Yelp, which is, I tried to contact them. They don't say I contacted them through Facebook with like a call me. They basically will eviscerate you. So to Carrie's point, you have to make sure whatever tool you're going to leverage, that it is something that you're constantly updating and using, because people then have that expectation that you are going to communicate with them, that you are open to that line of communication.
Yeah, just out of curiosity, how many people here are here from a restaurant or representing a restaurant today? Just out of curiosity. So I mean, you guys probably know. I don't know if you have a Yelp. I mean, that's like for most restaurants, because you can get that one bad review that just totally messes everything up. So, and a lot of times that comes from past experience with restaurants, from that one bad communication, whether it's in the store or through communication. And these tools, you need to use these tools to help you overcome stuff like that and make objections, actual, stuff that can help your company.
Actually, now to piggyback, how many people have Twitter in here?
Have it or use it.
Okay, how many people actually use it? Yeah, it's a little bit loud.
And Facebook? For your company? Not personal? Company? Okay, yeah. This is the year for Facebook, I'm telling you. So,
Sounds crazy to say this is the year for Facebook, but
for business. Sorry, let me put that out there.
In terms of new technologies that you guys have been seeing emerging from 2012, 2013, I know Square was one of the big ones. It's essentially the point-of-sale system that you plug into an iPad, and I've seen numerous new coffee shops, except for like Starbucks and the bigger guys, leverage a cheaper POS system that goes against the traditional POS system. It's much cheaper, much more effective. It's a new technology, so it scares a lot of people, but it's kind of proven itself that it's incredibly effective.
Actually, Starbucks is switching over to Square, I heard.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Yeah. And I remember in 2010, my brother first bought Square, and I used it to pay rent when I lived with him. I hadn't really plugged into his iPhone. But going from that to where it is right now, what are some new technologies that you guys see in 2012 and 2013 that a small business can leverage to really compete with the bigger people? Because I know entrenched competition, when you open a new business or open new anything really, it's tough. So what are some new emerging technologies you guys see that in particular?
I'm going to go against my normal love of anything that's not Apple and tell you that. No, like Apple Minis and the smaller form tablet stuff, like I think that in and of itself is going to be huge for smaller businesses. It allows you to be agile, allows you to be quick, allows you to have your business with you at all times. And then coupling it with like an Intuit system, or Intuit I love actually. Yeah, I love that because it connects directly to your QuickBooks and stuff, right? So, but you know, I think smaller forms really is going to be big this year. I mean,
There's some, Square's a great product and it really hit a huge market last year. It's become really popular. You see it in restaurants, coffee shops, food trucks, small businesses, events. You know, you're paying
service providers.
Exactly.
Service providers, like painters come to your house.
Yeah.
That's Square.
You know, it's a really easy way to get into that mobile payment realm. You know, beyond having to buy and lease another piece of technology. It could be something that incorporates into an iOS device, or even like an Android or Windows-based device. It just kind of plugs into your headphone jack. It's really easy. It's great. A lot of businesses talk to me, and they talk about, well, what if I wanted to get my own app? I'm looking to do this. Maybe I should develop an app. A lot of times we steer them away and start to look at solutions that already exist, right? Things like Lemur and Vanga for their business, because app development is a really costly thing. It tends to be that a solution already exists in the market, for whatever your need is. And if not, there's some really great ways to kind of use tools like FileMaker to develop the app without buying the app almost. There's some really cost-effective ways for you to do some basic and really strategic app development without developing a large app and that cost that goes with it. So, I always look at customers to start to look at what's in the market currently for their business, as opposed to trying to think of developing something on their own. And that goes for the tools as well. Like I know we talk a lot about Facebook, LinkedIn, but those are going to be really strategic tools for you and your business.
Yeah, I think to add on to the technology question, mobile payments is something that's been growing a lot in the last couple of years. It's going to skyrocket in 2013. The problem is that it's such a crowded space. There's a million different players in it. You're going to see a lot of consolidation in mobile payments. Square, as someone mentioned with Starbucks, Square is now powering all their mobile payments. I think they're rolling it out worldwide soon. And the ability when you walk into Starbucks, which a lot of you guys probably go to Starbucks all the time, you walk in and you just scan your phone and then you're done. There's no pulling out a wallet, there's no exchanging payment or anything like that. Not only is that capturing your mobile payment, for you it's also giving you credit as far as a loyalty perspective, it's giving you a reward and an incentive to come back in. And then of course to Starbucks, it's giving them a whole slew of data that they're able to capture on your spending behaviors, things that bring you in, things that don't bring you in, why you came in more often last month than the month before. And from that perspective, that's a lot of what Vango does as well and for the restaurants. So the mobile payment world is going to be huge, not just from the Square perspective where you're still swiping a physical card. Square also has a mobile payment side, but just making things easier, making it easier to do business from mobile payments to POSs. I don't know if we need to get into the details of POSs. I'm not sure how many people want to kind of geek out on that side of it, but I've done a lot with modern POS systems, cloud-based point of sales, iPad-based point of sales. That stuff's totally replacing that market. And even the big guys in the restaurant world like Micros and Aloha, who have been the 1,000-pound gorillas in a room for 2 decades, are now finally realizing they have to make that shift as well. So.
Yeah, one cool thing that I have to point out, and I'm sure probably some of you guys in here have used it, and being an Apple fanboy, sometimes criticized for it, I have to point out, like, have you gotten to use Apple and brought up your email and been able to, go up and scan your product, pay for it right there, and walk out? I feel like I'm kind of doing something illegal, So, but it's kind of cool to know that you don't even have to touch them. You just can go right to what you want, scan it in, and those technologies are going to get bigger. And on that point, because I probably should have mentioned it last time, your presence needs to be mobile ready. this year. I mean, every year using mobile devices got bigger and bigger, and this year is going to be insane how much the mobile market is going to expand. Most people are going to be looking at Facebook on their phones, not on their computers. They're going to be interacting at customer points of sale on their phones. Everything's going to be done on your phones, especially when you have these Samsungs that are almost like mini tablets, you know, and people are looking at websites. Your website has to be accessible. If people can't go on there, easily read everything, and find some actionable contacts within your site, then that's going to it's not going to hurt your business, but it's definitely not going to help your business.
Mobility is huge, and if you ever have a website developed or use some free tool that's out there to develop your website, looking at it on a mobile device is going to make a big difference and change the view, because there are a lot of businesses I see that don't have mobile-ready sites. It's really difficult for me. Most of the browsing stuff I do at home is on my iPhone. So for me, having a mobile version of a site, for me, makes my return to going back to that business much more likely.
I know all these technologies sound amazing, but a lot of small businesses have very limited resources. How would you recommend smaller businesses with like not as much capital to spend on new marketing things, acquiring new customers versus maximizing the existing ones?
I mean, my focus would be on maximizing existing customers. I mean, it's I don't know, 3-to-1, 4-to-1 cheaper, something like that. There are a lot of stats, but how much it costs marketing dollars to keep an existing customer, get a greater share of their wallet, get them in instead of 3 times a month, get them in 4 times a month, whatever that incremental change is, far more effective than acquiring new business. So look to existing customers first. Obviously, you always need to acquire new business as well. But I was just thinking the same thing, Carl, when I'm sitting here listening to all these things. I'm like, if I wasn't a software guy and I was just a restaurant owner, I'd be thinking, okay, I gotta get on mobile web, now I gotta get Twitter and Facebook, and now I gotta do this, now I gotta get my mobile payments set up and everything. I believe it was you or one of you guys, maybe it was you that said earlier that don't recreate the wheel kind of thing. I mean, don't go out there and think I need to hire a developer to go build me this custom mobile website. As these things become more and more popular, they become more commoditized, meaning they're much easier to do. So even if you're a larger brand and you do decide to do an custom app for your business, you want a custom mobile website, most of these things are stuff you can go out and do for 99 bucks from a company that can just pound it out in a couple days, right? Don't recreate the wheel. Don't think you have to invent this whole new thing. There are people that can basically take your existing website, turn it into a mobile format for you, things like that. A lot of these things have become more popular, a lot easier and cheaper to do. So try and maximize it that way, I would suggest.
And I would suggest, I'm a technophobe. Like, I really don't like technology, right? Like, it's odd, right? And when one of the things that I used to do is maximizing my current customers in every location I was ever with was, pen and paper. A lot of times just getting information around your customers and spending the time to look at it. And I know we're just talking a little bit more about tech, but sometimes, we look so much at what's going on in technology, we forget that there are some real simple, rules to business, right? Which is great customer service and knowing your customer. And I don't know how many people in here have like a mailing list for their customers, right? And how many of those mailing lists, like how many of you guys have like actual correspondence with your customers back and forth across those mailing lists? Yeah, it doesn't happen too often, but in the normal practice of business, actually just doing some of that type of stuff, and even whatever format you try to use to keep that information can be really, really helpful. Because I think the biggest mistake that at least I've seen in the past is what you talked about, which is you get so caught up in this great idea of, wow, December 31st, I'm going to have this awesome event. Well, great, maybe you do flood your restaurant that day, but if you don't gather the right information from those people, you'll see them one time a year. And that's probably not really good for your business, right? Or on your services side of business, how often do you leverage those people to get you to that next customer? We all talk about it, but it's very rare that I think we maximize those connections that we make with customer service.
Yeah, adding to what Carl said, it really is. You can actually use Facebook, for customer retention. Having that, most of as a Facebook fan page, you click like, those people will never go back to your Facebook page again. That's how it works. I mean, nobody goes back and even if you click, what you want to do is you want to put actionable material within your Facebook page, and you want to have it so they can see it through their feed once in a while. You got to remember that most people are buried with like 300 friends or so, and whatever you're posting is probably going to be missed by most people, you know, unless they're like me and look at it every 15, 20 minutes obsessively. Yeah, I mean, you can also not just retain those customers, but by giving good customer service and replying back to any comments or action. If somebody posts a comment, whether it's negative or positive, you don't reply to that. So that's the same as him talking to me and me not replying back to him. But by giving good customer service on Facebook, on Twitter, replying to everything and giving the same kind of customer standards you do in person, you're actually going to gain more customers like that. It's really hard, as you get, especially you restaurant owners know, it's really hard to gain a new customer by being nice to somebody and showing good customer service. You'll get 1 out of like 1,000 of those. But if you don't reply or if you get bad customer service, it's like 1 in 10 are going to post something negative, or you're going to lose a customer by doing that. So you can retain by giving good customer service, and you can actually build your customers as well.
I have one thing that I see a lot with my clients is that a lot of times they'll spend tons and tons of money on technology, and they can't maintain it. They have to continue to hire a person or continue to use different technologies, and they're spending lots and lots and lots of money. And thinking that they have to get the next greatest thing or the next iPad, iPhone, Samsung, or whatever. But really, if you can, year to year, have your budget that you're willing to spend and ask yourself, do I really need that latest and greatest? Because you know, right down the street, something else is going to come back out. So, and will that benefit you so that you're not throwing tons of money into technology and forgetting to actually be building up your clientele, up your client base. So really being extremely strategic about what it is you do and how you do it so that you're not in trouble, and really going and interviewing companies that you want to work with to maintain your website. Or is there ability for you to do your own website? If so, how much is that going to cost you? How much time are you investing? So that ROI and what you're putting into really makes a lot of sense. I had one gentleman that I worked with about a year ago. I think he had spent $10,000 on a product, and he didn't have anything to show for it at the end of the day. And it was very disturbing because, Andy?
Yeah, I find that not necessarily with technology, but I find it more with all these social media platforms we're talking about, LinkedIn and Facebook and Pinterest and all this stuff, writing a blog and doing all this great stuff. All that stuff takes time. And it's not necessarily costing you money, but it is occupying a lot of your time. And so if you think of it in terms of, well, let me see, if I wasn't doing this, I would have to hire someone to do this. Then you kind of, then you truly understand how much it really is costing you. And so as great as all these platforms are, you can find yourself wasting not wasting, but expending all your time writing the greatest blog on earth, publishing Facebook feeds, and you don't realize it, but you're not spending time on your business. So I think that
that's the point.
Yeah.
Well, also, let me ask you this on that point. What's your business? Just if you don't mind.
I rent tailgate equipment.
Okay. And what kind of marketing do you do now? Do you pay for advertising?
No, I use most of my customers come from Google searches, from organic SEO.
So SEO, organic SEO, that's awesome. Believe it or not, there's a lot of communication schools out there. I mean, American University, everything. There's not one company I haven't worked with that hasn't been able to use an intern that loves, and you'll get people that come through that can help you with these. There's also really cheap methods of having blogs written for you. Tons of companies, and like I said, you can come and talk to us about stuff like that. That's one of the things I did for my companies, is help minimize the time they're spending on social media, because people don't realize that you can spend 15 minutes a day and get just as much out of social media as somebody that spends 4 hours a day on social media. And there's a lot of tricks and a lot of tools out there, and that's kind of what we're talking about, from Hootsuite to different type of really quickly, posting a bunch of posts at once that'll help you get it up.
I agree with what you're saying, but I think that the social media market is getting so saturated now, and people who read your Facebook feeds, and they see it, when they see it coming from a source like Hootsuite or TweetDeck, and they start seeing you that you're using all these technologies to disseminate your message, it comes across as not being genuine, and people kind of turn that off.
To that message, you're correct. Like some of my companies, I've been straight up like, you know what I see? I see what Facebook's doing for you. Facebook's really fan generated. You know, so the people that are really succeed are people that really love your product, and you'll get your customers to like you. But how much are you going to get out of that? For you, there's different Twitter campaigns you can use as far as listening a lot and becoming active and communicating back and forth to that might help you out better than like Facebook, where more of the restaurants are really fan-based. You know, people love to comment about their favorite restaurants. Service people, B2B like us, Facebook's not the best tool for us to use, but it can be used. You know, it's a little bit more work. So that's why I said you got to think about what you're trying to do and figure out the right tools to help you. Whether it's even things like Scout Mob or thinking outside the box on some organic search type stuff. But yeah, every business needs to think about their business and what tools to use. So like I said, schedule some time with me and we can kind of think of some, every business can spend and get customers without spending money. And I'm sorry if I have some vendors in here that are trying to sell your design services and stuff like that. That was my design firm. But there are tricks, like you said, where you can have a WordPress site, a really good WordPress site, put up in a couple days and have it ready for mobile or any type size browser nowadays for very cheap. So yeah.
But I think the most important point is you understand your business best. You all do, right? And you'll know your customers best. And so you'll leverage, once you understand what the tools can do, that's when you decide what you're going to leverage. Because you're absolutely right. You can spend all day, like, trust me, I've written blogs, I've done this, I've sent it, and it's like, all of a sudden, it's like, where did my day go? Like, I've done nothing for my business but write a blog and tweet about it to, whatever it is. So you can get caught up in it. But, I think once you take some time to kind of analyze who you're trying to communicate with and how they receive their message, then, you can figure out that perhaps it's not Twitter that's the best for you. Maybe it is a Facebook page, or maybe it is, having a blog that gets sent out to everyone in your space that actually reads it and then tweets it out themselves. That makes you, an expert in the space. I think it's a matter of kind of taking the time, just like you would do a budget, about where you're going to spend your money for the year. Really, you should kind of do a budget of where your social media presence is going to be and where you're going to spend the most amount of your time.
In that same vein, in terms of social media, it is a lot of noise. 2013 is probably the noise of social media. It's reached a tumultuous point where everybody's on it, everyone's doing it, and everybody needs it. But how do you kind of distinguish yourself from amongst everything else out there, all the other restaurants, things like that? So, and you guys have basically lived in social media. I know all of you will have your own businesses, and Carrie does too. So how would you say, what's like one pragmatic, practical tip you can give a small business owner on any kind of social media platform, just to kind of leverage it to help promote their business or product that kind of separates them from the rest, from the crowd?
First, you have to know how to use the different tools and access it. There's plenty of documentation out there on the best practices for businesses. And like say Facebook, it's just a fact that you're going to get 70% more views and clicks if you post a photo on Facebook, as opposed to just some text that's going to get overlooked or buried within this huge feed that people have. So I definitely recommend photos or something to bring attention to people. And you'll find out very quickly just by posting on your personal Facebook page what people are interested in seeing and what they click on more. If I do a rant about politics, I'm probably not going to get as much feedback as me posting a picture of my daughter gets like 100 clicks and likes and comments back immediately. Obviously, you're not going to do that for your business, but you got to think what's going to connect your business with the fans that have your stream. With restaurants, if you're not posting every day a quick little post with a photo of your special of the day and taking advantage of that, because I make my decisions on where to eat sometimes on what I'm reading on Facebook. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I'll see somebody say, hey, go to Taco Bell with a picture of a taco, and I'll like, oh, I'm headed there, or look at my Scout Mob and see what's trending on there. So you got to think about what your customer wants and put it in front of them. Don't say, just don't write a word saying my special is this. I mean, put a photo with it. That's a big thing.
I think I've come to realize with Facebook is that you have to manage your expectations with it. for example, let's say you have 1,000 fans on it, and you're publishing from your business Facebook page. Things you got to consider are, first of all, of those 1,000 people that are following you, how many are truly legitimate potential customers, and how many are friends and college buddies and family members. So you got to take that into account first. Then you got to take into account that when you, as a business, when you do publish something on Facebook, Facebook is only going to publish 15 to 20% of your people that are following you are going to see it if you're a business. And so you're publishing all these messages thinking the whole world's seeing it. Spending a lot of time doing this, but the reality of it is such a small percentage of people that are following you are seeing what you're publishing, and even a smaller percentage of those are actually truly potential customers. So you have to realize that going into it, that hey, this is probably why it's not bringing you business. You know?
Well, I mean, the more valuable the content you post, the more people are going to see it. That's just the way Facebook works. So if it's something that 100 people see it and 50 other people click on it, another 100 people are going to see it just because of the nature of the way Facebook works.
Sure.
So the more valuable it is.
And it just takes more effort to produce valuable content.
Sure.
So which causes you to spend more time on it. So I found it to be just you can get yourself in this vicious cycle of spending all your time on this, and you're just, the reality is you're spinning your wheels.
Yeah. What might specifically work for you, actually, just in your case alone, is you have a product just like us. No offense, that's not something somebody needs to see in their feed every day. If you do too much, you're going to get blocked. You know, I have some companies that I just flat blow because I don't want to see their ads on there. A lot of times, in your case, think about something related to your, think about what your customers do. One of my most successful campaigns was with a kind of like a NASCAR-based restaurant in San Diego, where basically instead of posting all these specials, which weren't working at the time, they started posting articles about, or reposting articles, cool articles about NASCAR. And people followed them, and they got a bigger feed. And just having your name pop up there, when it comes time for them to buy a part, you're on their mind. You know, and that's what a lot of advertising is. You got to think, that's how all advertising works. If you post an ad in a paper, like maybe 1 million people are going to see it, you know, these people are going to respond, these people are going to actually buy. I mean, that's kind of how it all is, but you got to remember, Facebook's free. So if you find that one thing that works, it could be huge.
Yeah, and Carl said something really interesting. You know, the 2013 is the year of noise in social media. It'd be a really noisy year. My suggestion would be to be strategic and think about which social media medium is going to be where you're going to be noisy, right? Maybe it's not all of them, maybe it's one, and making yourself relevant, right? You know, it doesn't have to be something that you wrote or created, but say something that was relevant to you in your business that you read, like an article, sharing something like that, right? Beyond yourself, can make you a little more relevant and save you time.
Yeah, let's open up the floor to questions now. If anyone has questions for the panel, please go for it. But yeah, man.
Well, related to what Andy was saying, he gets most of his business by search engines. Can somebody talk about optimization?
SEO. Anybody want to?
Okay. Yeah, SEO. It's one of those things that you know, if you Google it, you're going to see SEO is dead, SEO is dying, and to some degree that's true. If you focus on SEO, you're going to fail. If you focus on content and getting inbound marketing, has anybody heard that term? I think HubSpot kind of, you know, started that big campaign on that, but that's huge. I mean, in everything we said, I don't think we've gotten back to the whole point of this. You know, having a Facebook page generating fans, that's really not the point of this. You know, if you do one of these, one of the things I hate is doing these competitions, so like us and we'll do this. It's a waste, because then you have all this content going out to the people that are just going to block you and not read it, like you were saying. It's just noise. So you really want to target your client and get good people on your list. But the most important thing is you need to have, when you do sell on your site, you want to do a lot more listening. We haven't said that either. You want to see what your customers are talking about, especially on Twitter. You want to, you know, these are your customer base, they're following you. You want to follow them too. You want to see what they're saying every day, and you want to find ways to communicate with them and not just sell. You know, if you sell online, that's bad. But when you do sell, it has to be actionable. If you just put out a little thing on Facebook with a little a little ad or something like that, it'll get, get a little hits. But if you have a link back to a page with a call to action, some kind of call me or get your information for more information for some of your service businesses, you're going to be a lot more successful than just throwing out noise. Everything's about creating links coming back into your site and phone calls coming into your business. That's what it's about. Like, sometimes we use social media just to throw stuff out there. That doesn't work. You have to actually have action content on there when you do so.
And I really just want to emphasize as well, really having a marketing plan around all of the social media. It is, even though the traditional email blasting or some of the old direct mail campaigns that we used to use is gone, but the fundamentals are still there, that you have to sit down and you have to plan it out and see if it's all right. If you keep doing the same thing and it's not working for you, then you've got to do something different, especially if you've given it your heart and you've spent 6 months working on it, there's no ROI. Don't keep doing it. Change it up. Be as creative as possible. If you're not creative, have a friend or somebody that you know that is, or go to somebody that is getting through to the noise and flatter, what is it? Is this the serious form of flattery by, copying what they're doing and apply it to yourself, some of that creativity. And who knows, if you create a video, looking at, you're doing a tailgating, you create a video, it could potentially go viral and put your business on the map. And sometimes it's something really simple that you could do that's low cost, but that's shattering through the noise, but being very strategic. I can't emphasize it enough. Even though direct mail and doing, going through snail mail, those things aren't working, but the background and how you do it is still there. That kind of formula that you have to use. You have to touch people 6 times before they even notice you. And it's when you were asking before about the one word, it's consistency and time again. And if you're creative, people will listen. But you've got to surround yourself with other creatives in order to do that campaign. Otherwise, I think you're going to get lost.
Another question.
First of all, thanks everybody for speaking. I learned a lot. I do have a question, but I also wanted to let you know it's you're going to do it, it'll be fine. I have a friend of mine who has and this is to the gentleman also has a tailgate. They both have products, and they turned a lot of the frequently asked questions on their blog or on their website. They turned those into 300-word blog posts and just SEO'd them out. That was very simple for them to do. They always get the questions, and then sometimes they just auto-populate when people ask the question to go through. So it's something simple you already know. And then with Facebook, don't make it for in the beginning. If you're doing tailgating, don't do it for your customer, do it for your friends, because your friends are the ones who originally bought your product probably, and you were working with them, and some of your customers have been your friends. So just stuff like, hey, we wish RG3 the best, or something like, just Redskins, rah-rah stuff. That's what you stay in their mind for tailgating, doing stuff like that. And what I want to know is I'm trying to receive influencers at our events to come into our place, and I want people like Kerry, because Kerry checks in everywhere. Kerry talks about everything. He takes pictures of stuff, and he is influential. I like to follow where Kerry also checks in too, and it's almost stalkerish almost, but I want to see where other places that a person of his taste also goes, and if they're my competition, then I can work with them. So my question is, how do you figure out what someone's reach is? How can I find more Kerrys and figure out when they check in or do something, they're getting other people to also check in and more importantly spend money?
I feel like this is somewhat of a loaded question because these guys, he's within the Capitol too. If you guys don't know these guys, please know them. They're everywhere. These guys everybody follows these guys. And so what he says about me is twofold the other way around. I mean, these guys know about everything. Their company knows about everything going on in the DC area. So follow them. Connect to their RSS feed. It's great. But yeah, as far as connecting with those different people, you guys know how to do it. I mean, you find out who it is. You can even use tools such as Cloud and everything, but that's kind of gamified and kind of a little silly sometimes. So really, you can do that if you first of all, you have to find out who your customers are and your fan base. And from your fan base, it's pretty easy to find out who's speaking the most and conversing the most and is in the scene a little bit more. Once you're in it, you dig in and you actually listen and not just post. You actually have to go and read your feed. I mean, it is time consuming. It can be addictive sometimes as well. But if you read that, you're going to find out pretty quickly who the leaders in your business are. But you don't want to go, you know, the unfortunate thing about like Twitter and these things, some people are just promoting themselves. That's what they're doing. And they're creating noise to be followed, and it can be quite annoying at times. And you can quickly uncheck them if that's what they do. So you can find out pretty quickly who those people are and find their reach. There's also tools like, what's it called, crowdsource. There's actually basically a couple tools that tie in with cloud that read their cloud scores and how much they're tweeting and how relevant their content is, and I'll actually post that later for you guys. But these tools will actually help you find.
Follow him on Twitter, he'll post that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was happy to hear Tara say it isn't just what you're doing, but how you're doing it. And Carrie talking about adding photos to your website. I've been in visual communications my entire professional life, which is longer than any being alive. So I've seen a lot of change in the visual communication world. And I actually have a question at the back end of this, but I think what this gentleman was saying about Carrie being a man of taste, I think, I don't know you, I'm sure you are.
It's mainly 100 photos of my daughter a day, which
Right.
I only get in 6
Right,
months. So.
but that's what I'm talking about.
Great restaurant recommendations, by the way, if you follow them.
You know, Duke Ellington said, if it sounds good, it is good. Well, one of my mantras is, if it looks good, it is good. And I think one of the things that has always distinguished Apple, for example, is its visual appearance. It's instantly immaculate and precise and airy and open, and that's very much what Apple is, and it says it.
Does that mirror the products?
Your products and your environment and everything about you. So I am very interested in the visuals, which takes me to my question. And this probably is an ignorant question, and you're all going to make me slump down in my seat. But you were talking about adapting websites to cell phones to make them easier to read. When you say that, it seems to me that there has to be a redesign in terms of point size. I mean, you know, how many times can I go like this and, you know, keep turning to read something and to see the big picture, meaning the visuals, the white space, the photographs, the whole thing. So is there a redesign, an actual visual change from what's going to work well on an iPhone and what's going to work well on an iPad? Or
One of the latest trends is what's called responsive design, which means that you design for now mobile and think about the mobile version and work your way out. However, for a site, if you have a good website up and you're like, I don't want to spend money, or you don't have money to spend on mobile, there are quick little, there's even little sign-up fees, basically gives you script to put in your website at the front that basically pulls in a script that just takes your HTML and converts it down to, you know, being readable on mobile version. However, if your site was poorly designed with bad code or really old code, you may have to do a little bit more tweaking than that. But usually you don't have to do a full redesign. There's different methods to pull in your content directly to a website. So you could probably just hire somebody to do a quick mobile version, and trust me, you're gonna get quotes anywhere from you know, $500 to $10,000 for that same project. So.
Well, this is why I have a son.
Yes. And also, like I said, take advantage. We're here. I don't have a design firm anymore, so I'm not going to be selling you. So come in and spend some time with us. If you have these questions, I'll be happy to point you just a couple of options and look at your website. That's what we're here for. And yeah, I mean, every situation's different. So you really have to look at your website and where you stand right now to figure out the best solution for you, what your budget is.
Another question? What?
Your name is Carrie.
Hashtag Kelper.
Sorry.
I do web design for a number of clients in more restaurants, and they have been asking, and I dabble in the marketing and social media with them as well, they've been asking about Google Analytics because it's so inconsistent. Some months it's big spikes, and we don't get into the nitty-gritty of Google Analytics, but one of the comments you made about going to your new customer, or going to your existing customers versus new customers, and what role does your website play? If there's no call to action, say at a restaurant, except maybe to like your Facebook page or click on a blog post or something like that. But what other call to action would you have, and how do you measure what do you expect from a restaurant, say in Google Analytics, that would be positive? Because what are you trying to sell them? You're just trying to get them in your restaurant. How do you know?
I think that's pretty similar for any brick and mortar kind of retail. Whether you're selling, clothing or food, you're trying to get feet in the door. And a lot of times that's harder to measure than a social media campaign is, or something you're able to sell online. It's a lot harder to measure. I get there's kind of two different parts to that. One on the Google Analytics side, if there's just random spikes, Google Analytics provides a lot of tools to help you determine why you're getting those spikes. So where's that traffic coming from is the first thing. It's rarely because people are randomly typing in your website address. That's rarely the reason you're getting spikes. It's usually because somebody linked to you, or you got great traction with Google, or someone blogged about a service of yours, or you got linked to in a review. Use Google Analytics to determine that and do more of that, right? So if it happened because the Washington Post wrote up your restaurant, obviously that's an easy one to see, but go after reviewers or go after that PR more. That's kind of one side. The other side is the call to action side. I think there's a more tangible way you can look at that, which is make a reservation, right? Get them hooked in. Whether it's rare that you put up a thing that says join our mailing list, like someone in a restaurant. How often are you going to say, okay, I really want to be on this restaurant's mailing list, unless you're already a fanboy and you're really into that restaurant. But a call to action could be anything tangible from make a reservation now, so you've got, not only do you have their information for contact, you also have a hook, they feel a reason that they need to come into your restaurant. But there's the intangible side, which is more putting up the picture of that food is almost a call to action in the way that he sees it, right? I want that taco in my stomach, and I'm not just you, it's me too. I love food pictures and we post them all the time, but because putting up, when you log into your site, the first, a restaurant's website, if the first thing you see is pictures of amazing looking food, I mean, there's probably a 5 times more higher chance that you're gonna go into that restaurant than if you just pull up a restaurant site and you see a link to the download PDF menu and all those things people hate about restaurant sites, right? So use the visual side of the marketing and communications to be your call to action. Give them something that they want, they must have. People get hungry, they see a picture of food, they want to eat it.
Yeah, it's minimizing the steps on the device, right? Talking to like that mobile interface. For me, as a user, if I'm going to a restaurant, I tend to look at their menu on my phone, and a lot of them in DC, it's a very rigorous process. They usually have to go through 3 clicks to get to the menu. It's pain. There are a couple restaurants I do go to that have mobile versions, and it's really easy for me to just, I can scroll through and be like, okay, hours, about, menu, it's 1 click. So for me, it's ease of use. Sometimes in the interface can really make a difference, and it's huge.
Another question over there.
Actually, I have 2 comments. One is, to have a captive audience, if you are taking pictures of food, turn your flash off. I know this sounds really it's a really simple thing you can do. If you're reviewing a restaurant, or if you are a restaurant and you're taking pictures of your food and putting it up, visuals are everything. Flash will turn your delicious food into something that looks absolutely disgusting. And I would try it, just do a comparison, right? See, it really does do an amazing difference. If you're on any of these food blogs and you see, people send in random pictures of their picture of a very dark restaurant, and it just looks disgusting. I never want to eat this up. Anyway, so here's my plug. Look it up. Just look up flash photography and food on Google, and you'll see people have these comparisons. But the other thing is, I'll also put in a plug for a website building website called Weebly, W-E-E-B-L-Y. I've been using it for 2 of my sites. I'm also a graphic designer, but I have abandoned all my HTML training, and I'm just using that now to build a website for a non-related business, for a food business actually, and it will automatically create a mobile version. I know there are a few other website building websites out there, but I really highly recommend at least checking it out. It's less than plus a year, WEEBLY and .com, and it's it just does an amazing amount of stuff. If you'll post your blog, it has a blog thing, it has all awesome. I'm happy to talk with you about it if you want.
Can you repeat that website one more time?
WEEBLY, Weebly.com.
And designers are also, web designers are also.
Yes, and that's, I was going to say, if you have no money, this is a great way to get started. But as a graphic designer, I know it doesn't take the place of a really well-designed website, and also food photography. You know, my iPhone has been doing some great stuff for my baked goods so far. But when I really launch, when I really do, you know, my full time, I'm going to hire a photographer because it really does make a difference to have well-lit stuff.
Question in the back?
Yeah, I just have a question to get everybody's opinion. A friend of mine, he's like a real technology person, and I'm gonna be doing a food business, but I'm gonna have to start online because I can't afford a brick and mortar. But his opinion is that I should, you know, once I get it started online, that I should stick with online because he claims brick and mortar is old-fashioned, it's outdated, like newspapers are, you know. So I want to know what your opinion is. Should somebody just keep their food business online permanently, or should they eventually transition and try to get a brick and mortar?
What type of food business is it?
I'm gonna do donuts, so you know, so that's mine.
Actually, donuts, if you've been reading lately, they consider donuts to be the next big trend, like cupcakes. So
We're talking about that again.
I'm a class right here, food guy. So, like I said, and a disclaimer: if you do follow me on any of this stuff, if you're a vegetarian, you might want to think twice. Donuts is supposed to be the big thing. A friend of mine and I like to lovingly say is DC is where good ideas come to die. You're early on this. Donuts are going to be big, I'm telling you. So think about brick and mortar, but you know, I don't know how your business is going to work, but you know, you always have the food truck possibility, which all the restaurants hate, but so he's probably going to hate me for saying that. But
I don't hate it.
Yeah. But I'm saying there's a lot, you got to think creatively about that and think of some, you know, build your team of creative friends. You know, you have creative friends, have them throw some ideas. Like back before I even started my business, I would basically email all my friends that I thought creative and tell them not to share that I didn't invite others. And actually ask them questions. Say, hey, what do you think? What are some good ideas on how to do this? Because you'll be amazed at how many of your friends are going to come up with some amazing ideas. You know, so I wouldn't throw it out the door. Brick and mortar is not dead.
I'm going to tell you that.
Retail.
Oh yeah, I'm going to tell you that I blog about this. I write about this. I talk to a lot of thought leaders in the space. I mean, you know, brick and mortar is not dead, it's transforming. You know, we talked a lot about the new technologies that are out there. So maybe, you know, your donut shop will be something where people, you know, use their phone to pay, like we were talking about, you know, instead of, you know, it's not going to have a traditional POS system, it's not going to have a traditional ordering system. Maybe you'll have back-end analytics that'll tell you what type of donuts sell best at what times and when you should bake them, and it's all automatic. What I'm getting at is people aren't going to stop going to places to pick up stuff. Like, they're just not. You know, but the best advice that I can give you, as I've seen people transition these businesses over, is to see what your customer base is and what they're asking for and what they're doing, so that when you move over to a brick and mortar, you know, you're not trying to reinvent the wheel. You're just, again, leveraging that customer base that already exists. Right, so
a lot of the most popular food trucks are moving to brick and mortar. Like you look at District Taco, which actually started in Arlington, I believe, has hugely successful stores. I don't know if you ever tried to go to the one downtown, but it's insane.
There's also one on Lee Highway, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, you're seeing a lot of these guys prove out the concept with minimal overhead and then go full scale, which is brilliant.
So you the other way around.
Most of the ones that we've worked with have decided that that's what they want to do. They can't afford the brick and mortar, so they go the route like Osiris Oil of District Taco. He was unemployed, very minimum amount of money investment, but his neighbor invested into the company. And he got the seed funding to do that and just did it the right way. He uses Twitter all the time. He tweets guacamole and all kinds of pictures, and it just gets you salivating and you want to go. But he had a full plan because he knew that he didn't have the financing to make a mistake. You know, there were a lot of things riding on it. So we've actually had him come out to our program to talk about his story and how he got started. But his end goal was to get a brick and mortar. But he hasn't left the trucks behind. they were the ends, you know, to justify the means of getting there. Also, Pupatella is another great example of a truck that is now a brick and mortar, and they're using that to kind of leverage themselves to their success.
It's in any of your experience up there for a company who's transitioned from an online only to a brick and mortar, have you noticed that just by the fact that them having a brick and mortar store has increased their sales just because that is a form of advertising, just having a store presence?
Yes, and
Has that
having
helped?
the truck in visible locations and moving around, tweeting about where they're gonna be, and that kind of what we were saying earlier, that kind of interactivity with the customer base. They have a set of influencers who retweet things that they send out, and it kind of has that kind of viral explosion that gives them more customers. So even though they have the brick and mortar, they're still using the truck as more advertising to get new customers. But it's all he's very strategic about it. He didn't try to go after everyone. He started within that inner circle of his friends and family, went and hired friends and family to work the trucks, and then just expanded from there. Also, one great thing about the District Taco example is his customer service is bar none. They respond, Osiris responds to every single tweet that is sent to him. And he cooks. I don't know how he does it. I really don't. But that is something in his mind that he wants to do. He came to speak at our event, and I look up, he's live tweeting while he's talking. But that is part of his strategic plan to maintain. I know that as a customer, if I tweet him, he's going to respond back to me.
I think
which is
the
amazing.
big takeaway from that is brand recognition. I mean, if you've
Yes.
got a truck driving around and there's a positive association with that brand, someone walking down the street sees your brick and mortar, oh, you know, that's that truck I love kind of thing. The brand recognition is pretty
Yeah, one thing especially going into 2013 is social media, the whole commerce section. You got to let your customer purchase things the way they want to be. So have that. If they go to your website, if they don't have a link to buy that stuff online, you're going to lose some sales. So give them the option to call, give them the option to email, give them the option to respond. I have some people that only email me on Facebook. I think that's how I talk to you guys. But what I'm saying, you have to give people a way to purchase and communicate the way that they want to. If you don't, then you're going to lose sales.
Yes, at Apple we even developed the internal app, the Apple Store app, from feedback from our customers to allow them to do personal pickups in the store. I could order something right now, go pick it up in a Apple Store, Clarendon or Georgetown, right? It's nice that it's like I have the ability to visit the brick and mortar as opposed to have to wait for that to ship to me, right? So we're offering our customers a variety of ways to shop with us.
And then when they visit the brick and mortar, you can upsell them, right?
But I think for your donut example, you'll see. I think you'll see quickly whether it makes sense for you or not in terms of kind of like when people are visiting your site, when they're purchasing, what type of delivery you can have in terms of how quickly these orders are coming in versus how quickly you can fulfill them and what that rate looks like. And you'll get to a tipping point where it makes sense, right, to have an actual location where people can go for you. But I will tell you, it's not dead. In the next 3 years, brick and mortar retail will be completely reimagined, reinvented in the way that we interact within a physical location. All that is going to happen is that the two-dimensional experiences that we have on our phones or online are going to be brought into a three-dimensional world where we can actually have the tactile experience that we're so accustomed to, and we're going to combine that with the two-dimensional experience.
Also,
that's what's happening.
For donuts too. As you can see, I've had my share. So Krispy Kreme, they can't pump out that smell or put the hot light out on launch. So I do. You got to open it and sit down. What's that?
I'm sure they're trying.
They're trying, probably. Yeah. Smell-o-vision technology. Yeah.
I think we're about to wrap it up. We're ending our time at 9:30. I just want to thank the panel for their amazing responses and just being available to answer all of our questions. Give a quick plug-in for BizLaunch or for anybody interested?
Oh, most definitely. I have been away on leave for the last 6 months, and I'm not really back yet. I come back next week. But I want you all to know that we're going to be doing a full plethora of different types of programs. If you could let us know, you can
either tweet or email me about any ideas going forward, about information that you'd like to know more of. Please let us know. We really want to be as resourceful for you as the business owners as possible. And so really look forward to 2013 being successful, and from you all being success, we're a success as a community. So thanks so much for coming out.
Thank you.